Hi, everyone. I'm Peter Giannetti, editor-in-chief of HomePage News, and welcome to part 2 of our special webinar series examining findings of the first annual HomePage News Consumer Outlook Survey. I'm joined again today by Leana Salamah, Vice President of Marketing for the International Housewares Association. HomePage News and IHA have collaborated on proprietary market research and analysis to help the home and housewares business understand and adapt to swings in consumer purchase influences, while also helping the industry identify new growth paths. The first annual HomePage News Consumer Outlook Survey, commissioned by IHA, assessed key consumer purchase intent factors for the housewares business from a nationally projectable online poll by Morning Consult of some 4,000 prospective home product shoppers heading into 2022. The HomePage News 2022 Consumer Outlook Report, which is presented exclusively on homepagenews.com, provides detailed charts and analytics on 15 core housewares categories. The report serves up revealing insights on preferred products, key price points, key retail channels, and other valuable product attributes. For this series, we organized the findings from the 15 categories into 4 consumer lifestyle themes. We took care of home cooking and dining and entertaining last week. Today, we're going to look at health, comfort, and beauty as one theme, and clean living. With that, I'm happy to turn it over to Leana, who's going to share some of the macro market factors that are providing critical context for the first annual Consumer Outlook Survey and its report. Leana, welcome.
Thanks, Peter. So the first thing I want to do is just give everybody, those of you who were here for part 1 last week have seen this slide before, but what you see in front of you is purchase intent by category for all 15 of the home and housewares categories Peter mentioned. And the real news here is that, demand remains strong across the board for all of our different industry categories, down to home environment that you have just around 40%, all the way up to things like personal care and wellness at nearly 70%, which we'll talk about a little bit today. So demand remains strong and intent to purchase and participate in our industry remains very, very high. As Peter mentioned, today we're focusing on a couple different buckets, if you will. And the first one is health, comfort, and beauty. And to set the stage, what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about a couple of data points that are independent of the Consumer Outlook report, but they're a part of the IHA Market Watch report, which is being published here in the next couple weeks. We did a keynote on it during the Inspired Home Show back in March. But a few data points to point out here. This is around, the one on the screen now is around new skill acquisition. And again, if you were on part 1, I spoke about this in regard to cooking and baking up at the top there. But what this chart really does is it identifies different things that consumers picked up during the pandemic, specifically during 2021, certainly 2020 being the start of it. But then even more interestingly goes on to see what other consumers plan to pick up moving forward. So for our conversation today, I really want to highlight the third row there, which is yoga, fitness, and meditation. So what you see here is that about 15% of consumers say that they picked that up as a new skill that they embarked on in 2021. And then you see that an additional 21% of consumers intend to pick that up in their lifestyle in 2022. And that really jives with a lot of what we were hearing related to how consumers are thinking about wellness and about self-care right now. So again, additional points from the Market Watch report. We asked some questions about health and wellness and really wanted to narrow down to what are the most important forms of wellness to the average consumer. And what's interesting here is that, mental wellness actually outperformed physical wellness, not by a major amount, but by enough that it's notable. People are not only thinking about their physical well-being, but also very much about their mental well-being. And certainly both of those are areas that our industry can play a role in. But diving even just a little bit further into mental and physical wellness, what we asked was when people think about mental wellness, and that 77% of them who say that it is important or very important, what do they think about? What are the different attributes of mental wellness that they're really focused on? And what we found is that it is sleep and restfulness, calmness and managing anxiety, and then mental sharpness or acuity. Those are those areas that people think of when they think about taking care of their own mental well-being. So it's really about kind of achieving serenity, if you will, right? Kind of having a calm and even state of mind, but also being mentally sharp. Then moving into physical wellness at 73% of important or very important to important. What's really interesting here is the top three: nutrition, cardiovascular fitness, and energy level. There was an option for weight loss or weight management, and it did not appear in the top three. In fact, I don't even believe it appeared in the top five. I believe it was number 6. So what's interesting here, again, is that physical wellness is being thought of by the consumer right now less as about what we look like and what our outer appearance to the world is, and more about our inner selves and about how we're feeling about ourselves, how our own, inner health is doing. And I think that lines up very well with what you see about mental wellness. It gives you this very holistic picture of how the consumer wants to live their lives, how they want to feel about themselves on a day-to-day basis. So from there, we move into some of our categories. I'll let Peter take this in terms of purchase likelihood in our specific health, comfort, and wellness categories.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to pick up on what Leana just explained. We kind of bucketed certain categories into the health, comfort, and wellness sort of umbrella. And it's all interwoven. The idea of health really transcends all product categories in the home and housewares business. For the purposes here, we wanted to kind of zero in on what might be more classic definitions of health, comfort, and wellness products. So we break it into home environment, which is your air cleaners, personal fans and heaters, humidifiers, water filtration, those things which affect the environment, the home environment in which we live. In the personal care and wellness, that's sort of the composite of the beauty products, hair dryers, grooming products, hair care products. But then there are these products like facial care, hand sanitizers, plaque removers. You'll see how high, home environment comes in at around a little over 40%. There was a strong demand for air cleaners and those types of products during the pandemic. 40% is still a lot of runway for that category. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But look at personal care and wellness. It goes up to almost 70%, and that encompasses a wide bracket of products. The consumer is very aware of how they need to take care of themselves and take care of their families. And you'll see the connection between all these products when we talk about them. We're bringing drinkware back into the mix today. We covered that because it was originally asked in the survey in the tableware business with other drinking products. But we felt it's important to showcase drinkware here, which is a high demand product, continues to be a high demand product, to zero in on how important products like hydration are in a fitness regimen. So it's a category, again, that sort of transcends different departments of the retail environment. And in this case, there is a strong health and fitness pull to drinkware.
So one note here, you saw the purchase intent across all three of these categories for all adults. And again, for those of you who were with us last week, you're going to hear an echo of what I talked about last week, which is that the enthusiasm and the purchase likelihood amongst millennials really outperforms all adults by a factor of almost 10% across all categories. So right here, what you're seeing, the dark line, the dark orange is all adults, which you just saw in the previous slide. And then the lighter orange is millennials. So their proclivity and their purchase intention related to all of these health, comfort, beauty, wellness products is actually significantly higher than the average adult.
You'll see some findings later on that sort of really hammer home that point as well, too. So let's start with home environment. Again, home environment is those products which treat the air, treat the environment, treat the water we drink. It shouldn't surprise you, because it didn't surprise me, that air purifiers by far remain the most preferred product in terms of purchase intent heading into 2022. The category was very, very strong during the pandemic. It remains very, very strong. Again, we talked about more runway as we head into the back half of 2022. Home and Housewares is well positioned to continue its momentum in spite of headwinds in the economy and other factors right now that we're starting to hear. The home and housewares industry actually is well positioned to help the consumer be more economical, take care of themselves more efficiently, and home environment falls into that. I do want to note the incidence of portable fans and portable heaters here, in addition to products like air purifiers and water filtration. These are staples. They are seasonal products, obviously, that are going to have their high marks leading into those seasons. The goal with retail right now is to sort of stretch those seasons out. And I think there's an opportunity to do that both from marketing and merchandising, when you recognize that if fuel oil is going to be more expensive, various costs to run your home are going to be more expensive heading into the back half of this year, you're going to look to products like portable heaters and portable fans to perhaps to pick up the slack, be more spot, used on a more of a spot basis, but they will help people manage their costs. So it's important to know that those categories are going to remain strong. But again, water filtration, air purifiers, humidifiers, which are both a comfort and a wellness product. Humidified air is often prescribed when people have colds and flus and other viruses. So you'll see these products continue to go strong. Leana, why don't you talk a bit about the purchase motivators here a little bit?
Yeah, sure. What I'd like to do first, just very briefly, is go back to what you were saying about portable fans and portable heaters. And certainly those are longtime staples of an office, right? And as people have home offices in addition to their work offices now, you see those types of products existing in more than one place for the average consumer. So they're not just looking for, a one-time purchase. They may be purchasing multiple for different areas. In terms of purchase motivators, I mean, we see a lot of this across the board, where replacing a broken or old product, far and away is number one, but that an updated product with new features or innovation or new functionality is very close behind. And again, you see it here in home environment, but we see it across all the categories. So while certainly, there's the low-hanging fruit, which is, okay, it's an older broken product, they need a new one. There's absolutely opportunity to upsell folks on new innovations and new technologies in the space.
I think moving into this next wave of purchases, that those factors are going to be key. And companies that can differentiate themselves, and those factors are going to grab a lot of the attention right now. We looked at retail channels throughout the Outlook survey, and there were many that were unsurprising. We're going to pick out some of the unique findings with regard to retail channels. This is an area where home improvement and hardware stores have an advantage. The consumer does expect to find products in that channel, in addition to places like discount stores. Surprisingly, you'll also find drugstores. While we didn't put them on the list, there are drugstores which people expect to find things like fans and heaters in drugstores right now. But again, the home improvement segment is very well positioned right now. That market in general continues to be very robust. People are renovating, and as they renovate, they're looking for all features and all benefits within inside the home. Home improvement will be a strong retail channel for this business.
And interestingly enough, Peter, something that I noticed in some of the cross tabulations that we have is that, while home improvement and hardware stores jumped out a little bit across all adults, it very, very specifically jumped out amongst boomers. Up to about 21% of boomers said that they would expect to buy a home environment product at a home improvement or hardware store. So I thought that was an interesting piece as well.
When we look at key attributes, three that I picked out, two very strong key attributes: easy to maintain and energy efficiency. The energy efficiency, there's a heightened awareness right now of energy efficiency in just about everything we do right now, because energy efficiency translates to lower costs. So I think that's going to be a key factor going forward. Easy to maintain, again, it's not surprising, but it's very prevalent. There is a concern about filter replacement and cleaning these products. The more manufacturers can do to make these products and communicate that these products are easy to maintain, the more likely they are to convert them to better, more innovative new products. And I did pick out smart here. There's been a lot of talk throughout the home and housewares business the last several years about, the idea of smart products, and in particular connected products that sort of function through an app. It's been kind of touch and go overall, but I will tell you what, this category, home environment, is one of the categories that was early to adopt smart technology and continues to be an important factor. And I think the reason it's important is we don't really know how well an air cleaner is working. We need to trust the product, and we're going to buy into the idea that technology is embedded into it. And if I can monitor that technology, the machine is helping me understand what needs to happen. So this idea of facilitating the move into technology that we really don't see working. And I think that's in air purification, especially the idea of smart is important, but we see it in heaters and fans too, the ability to turn it on and off as needed and control the thermostat. So those were some of the key attributes. Home environment was one of the, among the categories we showed, maybe it closest to 40%. There's a lot of seasonality in that. So when we ask the questions to consumers at a certain point of year, they may not be thinking in that time, but I'll tell you right now, big category, something that will sell throughout the year.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, Peter, what you're saying about smart, and there was a slight uptick in the millennial and Gen Z, but nothing to really write home about. Smart was pretty consistent across the board. But we talked a lot about smart as part of our keynote at the Inspired Home Show related to the Market Watch report. And it's really about thinking about smart, not so much as just because it's connected to an app and my app will, I can turn it on or off remotely or any of that. That's a very, very small part of it. Smart, I think in something like this is much more about, can this actually read the quality of my air, provide me with information about what's going on in my air circulation, my air quality, what kind of allergens do I have in my home? And then, can it go ahead and improve upon those? And I can actually see that kind of take place over a period of time. So less about kind of remote, on and off, and more about, can it really help me understand better or, read things that I can't read myself and improve upon them?
I think we all agreed smart works when it solves a very important problem. Personal care and wellness. Again, this is a mix of categories. In this particular chart, we're zeroing in on the personal care / beauty part of the business. So you'll see men's shaver and women's shavers are among the top two preferred products or most expected to buy in the coming year. Let's talk a little bit about men's shaving for a second. We saw beards grow to unprecedented lengths during the pandemic. And I just think that was just the nature of being home, not as kind of cued into the need to sort of be social other than on Zoom. Beards were popular. They were comfortable. It was easy. It was something that happened. You'll see now, if you look closely, beards are getting neater again. They're not going away, but you're seeing the men are shaving. So you're going to see products like men's shavers and personal trimmers do well on both the men's and the women's side. This idea of having a neater appearance. Facial hair is still important with men. You're seeing mustaches alone now come back as a trend. So these are categories that ebb and flow. But at the end of the day, the men's shaver category is going to continue to be a strong one. Women's shavers along the way. When we look at other products like hair dryers, straightening, hair stylers, hair clippers, I was surprised was smaller, 20%, because home hair cutting became so prevalent. But I think people are actually looking forward to getting back to the salon. But watch that category. It's still an important economical consideration. The same thing in the beauty tools. Beauty tools were a little, one category that was hit hard during the pandemic, but we saw it start to bounce back in 2021 as people were getting out more. We think that the beauty business is on a continued growth path, and it's actually on a growth path being driven by better product, more innovative product. The people who use these products take their styling and their performance and the way they do it fast, easy, and healthy. They take it very seriously. With regard to home hair cutting, I just looked at the fact that we had 28% of people saying they always cut hair at home, and 25% of people saying sometimes. So I think that number at hair clippers actually is going to be larger than the 20% we see here in terms of people interested in making those purchases. And I know in hairstyling functions, straightening and curling at 23%. Styling versatility is important in this business, the ability to create multiple styles with a single tool. Yes, women are buying multiple tools for hairstyling, but there have been new innovations right now that simplify and make it more versatile. Look for straightening, curling, and a variety of styles to be prevalent going forward, not just one hairstyle. This is personal expression at its best right now. Again, purchase motivators, we talked a little bit about this earlier. You're going to see high incidence of replacing old product and broken product, but also a very high incidence of people who want new features. And again, when we look at notable retail channels here, don't discount the fact that the supermarket is a place, especially supermarkets that have gone kind of all in with pharmacy and healthcare departments. The supermarket is a place where people expect to find these products, and they will make those purchases there, both on an impulse basis and on a chosen basis, on a destination basis. And drugstores, perennially an important classification for health and beauty appliances, continue to show a strong prevalence.
Yeah, and we saw in the other categories we looked at, and it stays true across these in this presentation, which is that while supermarket, jumps out in a lot of different categories as a place that consumers are starting to rely on for more and more home and housewares products, it's especially true amongst Gen Z. I think in this one in particular, personal care and wellness, supermarket jumps up to 20% from 13 when you isolate the Gen Z group. So their kind of affinity and desire or comfort level with shopping for their home and housewares items at the supermarket is extremely high. And as they grow older and as they have a greater share of wallet, if that continues to be the case, there's a lot of growth opportunity there.
It's funny. I think Gen Z, we find this in a lot of categories, surprisingly has a greater affinity to in-store shopping than even the millennial generation before them. That is novel to that generation. Whereas digital was kind of, they're natively digital. The idea of getting out and going shopping is something that generation is going to do a little bit more, I think, than we even realize. We did break out home healthcare, some key home healthcare products. Thinking about when we did this survey leading into 2022, the idea of COVID had sort of returned with Delta, and we were starting to hear about Omicron. So home sanitizers were once again in the forefront of people's minds. So that is the number one product among those that we listed here. After that, we get into kind of a broad array of products. We see that electric toothbrushes and plaque removers are very important. Facial and skincare appliances, very, very important. Almost 30% are looking at that. And those two categories in particular, again, let's draw the parallel between what can I do to save a little money while getting out and going back to the salon, or what was important. Maybe now, as we head into the back half of this year, if I can do more of that at home and get salon performance, skincare performance at home, I'm going to explore that. Toothbrushes and plaque removers, just a steady product. Always a lot of innovation there. It's a high demand product with a big replacement component, so it's a traffic driver. We look at things like bath scales and body fat scales, blood pressure monitors, fitness trackers, heart rate monitors. The idea of self-monitoring your health is bigger than ever. And I think that is something that goes, and Leana might have pointed this out, it goes across generations. So Leana, talk a little bit about the demographics that you saw here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the heart rate monitor and the blood pressure monitor jumped out at me as being very interesting because there was consistency, because you might look at something like that and think that, as we get older and we're more worried about our blood pressure, about our, heart rate, that there would be a disproportionate number of boomers and even Gen Xers who were in the market for a blood pressure monitor, heart rate monitor. And it's not the case. Millennials are very, very much in the market for these things. Gen Z came in pretty low on blood pressure monitor, but back on heart rate monitor, they were right up there. Skincare appliance was really interesting to me from the standpoint of, clearly you're looking at Gen Z and millennials. So what you're talking about here is really preventative versus, something that's restorative. So these are folks who are looking for something that's going to, help them, help them grow old gracefully, as they get into their, really to their middle years, not even their, later in life years. So something very interesting to keep in mind, where skincare, might be more inclined towards an older audience in some folks' minds. The sanitizer and fitness tracker being millennial driven, I just think that's interesting. But again, overwhelming enthusiasm by millennials for all of these product categories. And then you mentioned the scale and the body fat scale, or it can measure BMI, or it can measure visceral fat, or it can, or bone density or muscle density. That attribute is important to 52% of all adults, and in fact is important to 60 and 63% of Gen Z and millennials respectively. So again, as people look at wellness as kind of this holistic piece, and it's really not just about how much I weigh, it's about what makes up that weight, and am I proportioned in a healthy way, is increasingly important to folks.
Yeah, it's to your point earlier, it's not just about weight. They see this product as a full health appliance, health monitor. Important to note on heart rate monitors, fitness trackers, blood pressure monitors. Years ago, The products offered had a very clinical feel to them. They looked like the things you would find in a hospital, and you wouldn't have expected younger generations to gravitate toward them. I think in an era of digital tracking, Fitbit, Apple Watch, it's a little bit more fashionable to have high caliber health tracking. And I think that's why we're seeing it cross generations a little bit more than we might have. It's not as clinical, it's really lifestyle. We're just going to touch briefly on drinkware here with a focus on hydration. We talked a little bit about this last week. The hydration bottle category within the drinkware grouping, which includes thermal beverage ware, plastic drinkware for children, and plastic indoor-outdoor drinkware. Hydration bottles were chosen by 33%. I see this, again, as I mentioned earlier, as a fitness-driven phenomenon that crosses generations. We look at hydration, multiple product ownership, 3 or more items within a home. 53% of those who responded said they have more than three or more hydration bottles. This product used to be the ultimate giveaway. Now it's one of the highest performance products consumers have in their home. They want it to be easy to clean. They want it to be durable. They want it to be leak-proof. And they need it to be easy to carry. They're taking these things on the go with them, especially as they get back into the office and back out on the road. All right, let's take a look at some key takeaways from health, comfort, and beauty, recognizing that this is a composite of products. I chose emotional wellness here. I think Leana would actually change that to mental wellness, but emotional wellness was also scoring high. These are all products that encompass physical wellness to a degree and mental and emotional wellness. It's a plus situation. It's not an either or. You have to understand, we often used to think of wellness and purely in terms of physical well-being. It's broader than that. There are many more triggers right now. The consumer is looking for solutions, inexpensive solutions, and everyday solutions. Economical choices. We're hearing a lot about inflation and the need to be a bit more prudent with discretionary spending. Again, home and housewares is very well positioned in that to begin with. I think this category has the opportunity to continue to grow, whether it's taking care of your skin and facial care at home, whether it's taking a heater, putting a heater and a fan in your office, your home office, or your bedroom, so you don't have to run the air conditioning or the central heating. Home environment does well when people are looking for solutions to help them save money. We talked earlier about this as a key segment for smart and connected applications that help consumers understand exactly what's going on in their environment and how this product is taking care of that. We mentioned a new wave of personal grooming and hair care. These products are once again in the foreground. It's not just about home hair cutting. This is about style, personal expression. After a couple of years of being sort of shut in, we're getting out right now and we're showing off. Leana, why don't you talk about the millennial segment here?
Yeah, certainly. And I've kind of been hammering this since the beginning, but as I said, millennials are outperforming all adults in likelihood to purchase all of these categories and all these products by roughly about 10%. That being said, home health, as we just kind of covered with some of the monitors and different activities, is really embraced by all generations. It's not something that is, inherent to an older or younger group of folks. It's really across the board. And then when we look at some of the retail channels that folks are gravitating towards, Gen Z really leans into supermarkets as a source for health, comfort, and beauty products. And in all honesty, that is pretty consistent across all of our different product categories, but certainly here it jumps out. And then baby boomers disproportionately are looking to use home improvement and hardware stores as a source of home environment products. So some things to think about as you are, considering inventory management and marketing.
Clean living. Leana, why don't you get us started on that?
Yeah, so moving into clean living here, which encompasses storage and organization, cleaning tools, and floor care electrics. So again, as we did with the health, comfort, and beauty category, we've looked at all of these in terms of all adults purchase likelihood in 2022, and then isolated millennials to see how that differs. And once again, I feel like a broken record here, but once again, you see that all adults, which is the orange bar here, is really is really outdone by the millennial intentions here. Millennial intentions are very high. When you get into things like floor care electrics, it's at a factor of, more than 15% that they are more likely to be in the market for such a product. And certainly, we talked about this in the first session as well. Some of that is the fact that they're at a right age for building a household, right? They are the folks who are actually trying to, begin a full, lifestyle. Maybe they're not in a small space, or they're starting a family. But again, something to keep in mind as you look at marketing and targeting efforts moving forward.
Just go back to that just quickly.
Oh,
I
sure.
want to make a point about why we are kind of creating some of these buckets that we're talking about today. If we were talking 20 years ago, we would never be talking about floor care electrics in the context of storage and organization and non-electric cleaning tools. There were silos in the way products were developed, and there were silos in the way products were merchandised and bought at retail. The consumer doesn't think in terms of those silos. The consumer is thinking in terms of their holistic approach to a given lifestyle desire. They want a clean house. So they're making decisions about an appliance, a mop and broom, and storage and organization products in that same context. Retailing has an opportunity to serve that consumer by sort of breaking down those silos. This research tells us that the consumers are thinking that way. And those retailers, whether it's brick and mortar or online, that can sort of think the way the consumer's thinking, have a real opportunity in these businesses. Thanks, Leana. We can go to the next one. So let's talk about storage and organization. On the left, we're looking at key areas of the home that the consumers say is most in need of improved storage and organization. Some of the standouts here are the adult bedroom closet, by far number one. That surprised me, but it tells you that consumers are thinking about reorganizing that area within which they live the most. Bedroom, then go into the closet. Kitchen drawers and cabinets does not surprise me that strong. We're spending more time in the kitchen. We need to make more sense out of it as we spend more time there. And the garage always comes up as a strong area. A garage is both a utility area, but it's also a lifestyle area. It's a place where you store things. It's a place where you may have a workshop. Some people are even converting their garages into semi living spaces. So to be more organized in the garage is not surprising. When we looked at top products, this is an area where we included food storage because traditionally, again, food storage is thought of as an overall storage product. This could have very easily gone into our kitchenware conversation last week, but food storage by far number one, closet storage a close number two, laundry storage a close number three. Think of the areas of the home that are being used the most right now and where consumers need help. Food storage, it's not just a storage scenario anymore. It's a how do I optimize the need for greater food storage? How do I make sure I'm preserving the food properly and minimizing food waste? And how can I get on the go with that food storage product? So how does it serve not just as a container to take with me, but a container within which I can organize my food, my lunch, my snack, whatever it is. Closet storage, again, more utility, making more room out of the same size closet, if you will. And laundry, a lot more time in the laundry room. Casual lifestyles have converted to more casual clothing. Therefore, the laundry room is even more important than ever. I'm going to jump to food storage container material preference here. Lots of discussion about glass food storage in the last few years. And the fact that 22% of the consumers say they are interested in purchasing glass is a strong component. Stainless steel, it's a factor that you're seeing more of that right now. Again, it's seen as sanitary, easy to clean, sleek. But plastic still shows up at well more than half of the consumers saying they want to buy that. I think consumers are far more aware of food safety than ever, and they are aware, and they're making choices with that awareness that many of today's plastic food storage products promote food safety and even give them ways to sort of check in on expiration and minimize food waste.
Yeah, one piece I'll just mention here before we move on, Peter, related to the top products. What doesn't appear in the top three, but changes a little bit when you look at generationally, is Gen Z's enthusiasm for both desk organizers and for gaming organization products, things that are very specifically meant to house all of their controllers and games and apparatuses and accessories that go along with these gaming systems they have these days.
Yeah, I think it's funny in that context. Rooms are now multi-purpose rooms. A living room is a gaming room, a dining room, a home office. I mean, things I think a little bit less so maybe than a couple years ago and last year. This need for where there's more function and more tasks taking place within a room, the need for storage is incrementally higher. Again, home improvement back just quickly. Home improvement and home specialty stores are prevailing choices for these categories, and that won't surprise anybody. Cleaning tools. In this context, we're talking about non-electric cleaning tools, mops, brooms, brushes, cleaning cloths, and the like. There is high purchase expectation. These are generally high replacement products, although the consumer doesn't always know when to replace them. I think there's an opportunity to trade consumers up and remind them to replace products on a more frequent basis. We see brooms and mops as a prevailing choice. I'm intrigued by the fact that disposable cloths and pads are high at 43%. And that speaks to the utility, the branding and the marketing in that business. It sort of goes contrary to the fact that I think this is one area where consumers have shown that they're gravitating toward organic materials and products that are less harmful to the environment and aren't necessarily creating more waste. But it tells you that in the disposable cloth and pad business, there's strength, maybe even more for those people who can marry the eco-responsible side of it with the convenience of disposability. Discount stores by far a high choice by the consumers. Again, another area where historically supermarkets have been strong in this business. They remain strong, both destination and impulse, but I think you can pull the category out of the aisle and showcase better product in supermarkets. And again, home improvement hardware strong. Historically, we've seen home improvement hardware lean to the more utilitarian products, outdoor brooms, more heavy duty mops. Not anymore. It's a full gamut in that channel. It's everyday mop, broom, and brush, as well as the heavier duty stuff.
Yeah, the only piece of color I would add here is related to mops. When you dig in and you ask about types of mop, the spin mop performed marginally better, but for the most part, it was pretty consistent across the board in terms of type of mop folks expect to purchase.
Spin mops, as many of you know, have had a lot of seen on TV exposure, and some of the big brands are focusing on spin mops. Just a better mousetrap in that particular segment, and consumers have gravitated toward it. Floor care electrics. Again, we're talking about floor care electrics in the context of clean living, and the consumer's thinking about it that way. However, it obviously has different motivating factors, and it's a different category, higher ticket products. So these are going to be much more considered purchases. We look at certain categories that are doing well: steam cleaner and vacuum cleaner. Vacuum cleaner in this context encompasses both upright and canisters. We did not separate those. It's something we'll plan to do next time. Why steam cleaners? Hard floor surfacing is still a predominant choice in homes today. It has been that way for a while. Steam cleaners are seen as a natural, clean way to take care of hard floor surfaces, and many steam cleaners are now versatile enough to be used on shower doors and other surfaces. It's not just a floor cleaning product, although that is a primary use. When we look at robotic vacs, I picked those out because there's been a lot of product introduction in that business, a lot of development. Robotic vacs are a high intent to buy category, but I think it's important to understand that this category is not a one-size-fits-all business. Consumers are predisposed to multiple purchases. Yes, they're looking for full-size vacuums that can do more, but they do want a steam cleaner. They want a more traditional vacuum cleaner when they feel they need that. They want a robotic vac because it provides convenience. They may back it up with a handheld vac for spot cleaning. This no different now than 20 years ago, is an opportunity to sell the consumer over and over, get them into a product and keep selling them, because they will respond to new technology, better price points, and better performance. Some key takeaways from Clean Living. As I said a bit earlier, multi-purpose rooms in the home mean more organization needs. This is a consumer that needs to cut the clutter just about everywhere now. So they're looking for solutions that allow them to live, eat, play, work in the same space. I said food to save, food to go. So the food storage business, very popular right now. Lots of innovation there. There's two purposes here. The consumer wants a product that helps them save the food and do it economically, but they want it to be more versatile on the go as they get out of the house more, go back to school, go back to the office. Organic cleaning solutions matter. I'm surprised by disposability, but I'm here to tell you they still matter. Organic cleaning solutions are the wave of now and the wave of the future. You will continue to see this business gravitate toward more natural solutions. This is an area, inexpensive. Consumers respond to that real highly. We talked about floor care convenience. This is primarily in the electrics category. Convenience plus high performance, multiple purchase opportunities. The consumer does want convenient products, easily accessible, robotic, whatever it might be, but they also want high performance products that work. And we'll talk about performance and technology, pets, and more pets. They're looking for products. Consumers bought more pets in the last 2 years than in a 2-year period before that. This is an industry that has responded very well to the consumer's need to clean up after their pets. Home improvement retailing advantage. I think it's an advantage in Clean Living. It's also an advantage in certain segments of the home environment area. This is a business that can carry a broad array of products, not just high end, not just low end, but a good, better, best. The consumer expects to find them there.
And then I'll just wrap it up here by repeating what I've been saying kind of along the way, which is that millennials continue to outperform in terms of their enthusiasm and purchase intent across categories. Gen Z loves a supermarket for just about any product that they're looking to buy. And I didn't mention this in the slide before, but in terms of cleaning tools, that high proclivity towards discount stores is actually very, very driven by the boomer audience, as is, I think I mentioned, the home improvement hardware stores as a source of storage and organization. When we talk about the retail channels, I think, Peter, you may have talked about this a little bit at the front end of our presentation here. I think it's important to note that we pulled out kind of the almost like the unexpectedly high ones, right? So there are certain retail channels that were high across the board. Online was high across the board. Department store was high across the board. Some of your, kind of mass merchandisers were high across the board. We really kind of attempted to pull out those ones that, maybe were a little more surprising to us in terms of how well they performed in certain categories. So by no means do those, the full report is available online and has all of the breakouts of every retail channel that we evaluated across every one of these product categories.
Yeah, the full report is available. There's a link in front of you right now. You'll see the Clean Living and the health, comfort, and beauty that we discussed today, as well as the kitchen, the home cooking, we called it, which encompasses the kitchen categories and the dining and entertaining categories. One thing that I want to do to wrap up today's conversation, which again goes back to the point that this is all kind of interwoven and we have to break silos. A clean home is a healthy home. The consumer sees that relationship more than ever right now. It's transcendent, and all of these products interact to create well-being in the house. So it's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, and it's just we're spending more time at home. We're going to continue to spend more time at home.
Hey, I am not seeing any questions come through. We do have a few minutes left if anyone wants to ask a specific question. I can tell you that, this presentation deck is available. You can reach out to Peter or myself, and we'll be happy to share the deck with you. We will also be posting the recording of this session on HomePage News within the next week or so. Part 1 is already up on HomePage News, so you can find the video there right off the homepage in the video section. So.
Yeah. And Leana mentioned this earlier. We're not giving you the full scope of the report. The report goes into far more detail in terms of specific product types, the demographics, all the things we talked about. We wanted to give you a taste that kind of wraps it all together. But please take a look at the report. If you have questions after you see the report, please don't hesitate to give one of us a shout, and we'll do our best to answer them. You see something coming in here?
Yeah, I just have a request for our email addresses. I'll go ahead and drop these into the chat while we're talking here.
You will be seeing more of this type of research collaboration between HomePage News and IHA going forward. In fact, Leana and I were just talking. There's some special categories we're taking a look at that we'll be covering going forward. So stay tuned to HomePage News. Stay tuned to the HomePage News daily email, and keep an eye on the housewares.org site as well too, and the Inspired Home Show. Is it .org? Inspired or no,
InspiredHomeShow.com, HomePageNews.com.
I get confused.
Housewares.org. Yes.
Our goal here is to help people make some informed decisions. So we really appreciate your readership.
All right. With that, I think we'll wrap it up. Give everybody back their 14 minutes. We really appreciate all of you for tuning in here and hope that you found the information helpful. Again, please reach out to Peter and I if you have any specific questions. We have cross-tabulation reports for all of this data ad nauseum. So, if you have specific questions, we are happy to have a conversation. Thank you very much from all of us at IHA and HomePage News. Hope you guys have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye now.